The senator just whispered in my ear saying that she used to be the city controller in Houston, and I whispered back at her, "You know my pain." Well, let me just start off by telling you how delighted, absolutely delighted that you've chosen Chicago to be your host city. We're honored that you're here. As the treasurer of Illinois, though, I will ask you one favor. Please spend as much money as possible. The sales tax revenue is necessary. If you look at the balance sheet of Illinois, we want you to come back more often. And I actually had your conference pin, and I opted, with all respect, I've got my Blackhawks pin today. Are there any hockey fans out here? Let me ask a different question. Are there any non-Illinois hockey fans out here? All right, good. Well, we're delighted. We're delighted you're. Say what? Go Rangers. Okay. Let me I've got to say, Senator, you mentioned about women in charge. I think we'd have a lot better process in many of our states if we had more women in charge. And I am going to be a little parochial because I do want to acknowledge and thank the Illinois legislators that are here with us today. I appreciate you, I respect you, and the reason I'm being so kind to you is that you vote on my appropriations bills. Part of my background is, prior to being a legislator, I actually had the honor to serve in both the Illinois State Senate and in the Illinois House of Representatives. But one thing I want to tell you about my appreciation for who you are and what you do does not necessarily come from my legislative experience. It comes from my private sector experience. I just retired before I became the treasurer of the state of Illinois from a company called ServiceMaster Corporation. And many of you may have heard of our company because we have operations in every one of the single states of the United States. And the beauty of my job for those years was I was vice president of international. So the gentleman from Walmart, I've been to your mother city. I've been to Bogota and Medellin and Cali. I've had the opportunity to be in our country friends of Venezuela and Panama, Guatemala, Peru, Argentina, and even Cuba. And the beauty of what I had the opportunity to do as a private sector businessman was work with a gentleman by the name of Carlos Cantu. Now, many of you may have heard of Carlos. He became the highest ranking Latino American of the largest company of his time. And that was a pest control company called Terminex. And later went on to become the chief executive officer of the ServiceMaster Corporation, the $7 billion service company. My report line for many of those years was directly to Carlos. And during that vision of time, Carlos worked with me to help. And we opened our businesses, not just expanding them in Puerto Rico, but we also expanded them once further even into Mexico and into Honduras. And so what that experience allowed me to do was actually be in the mother country of many of our fine residents of Illinois and, for that matter, of America. And not just because I get to one of the good restaurants in Chicago, but actually had the opportunity to partake of the culture in the local communities, in the mother countries, and of the food and the music and the art. And I think that helped me become actually a better legislator. It helped me understand a bit more about the fiber of who we are as new Americans. And when I worked in the General Assembly, and I've got some notes here I could have gone through with you about our Bright Start program, and I do want to highlight that. It's a 529 college savings program. And many of you have them in your states. In fact, all of you have them in your states. But one of the things I've got to tell you that we're pretty proud of here in the state of Illinois, in the fact when the Federal Dream Act went into effect, I think it was back in about 2011, Illinois, in cooperation working with my legislative friends in our Latino caucus, we actually converted our Illinois Bright Start program to be one of the very, very few, even yet today, in the United States of America that accepts a TIN number. So as you look at, and a note is we are 2 years in advance of what it should have been and put into place. So when my staff and my colleagues came to me and talked about the taxpayer ID number and Bright Start, and I started looking at it, I said, well, of course, now we got to make sure we follow all the procedures and processes. It's got to be done right. But yes, of course we're going to do that. And it wasn't just because we've got such clout and prestige in our Latino caucus in the General Assembly, but I think also comes from part of my experiences in life and having had the experience to meet and work with people that don't have Social Security numbers yet, but yet have and want and deserve to have the opportunity to put together a college savings program for their loved one. Another experience that I had as a member of the Illinois General Assembly, and I will tell you one more time, I know it came because of my background in the real world. And that was when our mutual friend, and I don't think, Willie's not here, is he, Senator Delgado? But our good friend Senator Delgado, and actually Representative Soto was the sponsor back in 2007. In the Illinois State Senate, Senator Delgado and I were the sponsors to create the Illinois Latino Family Commission. Now, I'm not going to get into partisan politics here, and I know that there are some Republicans in the room. I'm one of those. I love you too, Iris. But I think the thing that was most interesting to my colleagues in the Assembly was in the Illinois State Senate, partnering up, was this guy whose family comes from Great Britain and is the Republican, teaming up with my good friend, Senator Delgado, to represent to the Assembly and the Senate that we should and need to do the creation of the Latino Family Commission. And since that time, we've now been able to, and in fact, I know my representative friends here, Hernandez and Soto, Acevedo, Barrios, Tabares, and Senator Martinez actually amended the commission's purposes this legislative year, and has now expanded into helping us with regards to breast cancer education. It's gone on to help us in regards to disseminating information within our Latino community with regards to health needs. It's also been very good, and this is one of particular interest to me, was the issues in regards to Prevention of Violence Task Force. So I wanted to be here to actually very sincerely thank you for being in our state and being in our city and helping us change America. The beauty of who we are is a strong country, and one of my former Senate colleagues, we were joking about at the table, one of my former state Senate colleagues just addressed you in the video. Actually, they kept his Senate chair in the archives. They're going to put it in his museum someday. And the beauty of it is I got one just like he's got. Who we are as Americans, the mosaic of diversity, the different skin colors, the different languages, the different cultures, all of that comes together to have us be one of the, to be the greatest nation on this planet. The fiber into which you have helped woven us into that is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.